Hey, everybody, welcome to Lifting Spirits Around the Piano with our good buddy here, Drew from 216 Creator Studio. How you doing?
Good. Tim, how you doing?
Boy, I tell you, we're here today to talk about, we're going to do kind of a roundup and wrap up of our time at the NAMM Show in Southern California about a week ago. We had a blast. I'll tell you, this was your first show that you came out with us.
This was my show with Ken Jones, my business partner here at 216 Creator Studios. And it was our first time going out to the NAMM Show. And I'll tell you, blown away. Absolutely blown away.
I told you, I warned you,
You
be
did.
ready. This is going to be fun. And boy, from the day we landed to the day we took off and came home, we did nothing but talk music, play music, listen to music. It was just, it's where the music industry all comes together for a few days, and it's really a blast. And I always tell everybody, if you can't have fun at a music convention, where can you have fun at?
I know, right? Well, obviously. And listen, you're in the music world more than I am. We're live stream podcasts, shows, and hopefully soon to be amateur movies. And partnering in with you to go out to NAMM and to have this relationship opened up a whole new world to me, especially with the people that we met.
It was. And we met a lot of interesting people, and the fun part was it's not necessarily the name people that you would be a household name, but they're the people behind the name people. And we got to chat with a lot of those people, and it was enlightening, and it was an education, and it was music history all wrapped up into one.
Yeah, it was. Some of the funnest. So today we're going to do some highlights. And listen, folks, check us out, 216 The Net on YouTube. Go to the live tab. We have some of the interviews that we've done already dropped and ready to go, along with some of the bands that's played. And stay tuned throughout the next 2 weeks. We're going to sprinkle them out there as we go.
It's going to be fun. Keep an eye out, both and check on our platforms as well at Lifting Spirits Through Music and Piano Trends Music on both YouTube and Facebook. And we can't ask you enough. We would love to have you subscribe and follow and be with us all the way through this.
Yeah, please subscribe, ding that bell, hit the like button. We appreciate checking out some of our other shows as well. And, so Tim, we're doing a new segment moving forward, right? Around the piano.
We sure are. And this is kind of an offshoot of our daily live stream where we'll play a little music, joke around a little bit, and just smile, be kind, and encourage people to keep on keeping on. Well, with this new format, with Around the Piano Lifting Spirits, we're going to chat and talk with people in the music business and maybe sometimes outside the music business. And we're going to give you a hint about outside the music business in just a few minutes. So stay tuned. But it's going to be fun. We're going to talk with a lot of local musicians, people both behind the scenes and up on the stage. So we're looking forward to an exciting year doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. With some of the interviews that we're lining up now to come to the piano, as well as maybe even do full band recordings and interviewing the bands. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great year.
It is. It's going to be fun. And if you've got a band out there and you want some recognition, you want to chat with us, get in touch with us. We'd love to talk with you.
So Kent couldn't be here today. He's basketball coach and a father, and helps me run the studios, and he was bummed about not being here. So shout out to Kent Jones, Kent D. Jones. You're missed for this round, but hopefully you'll be watching here shortly. I know that your son came out there, Jason.
Yeah, Jason he's my right hand guy there, and in fact a lot of times he's both my right hand and my left hand out there.
Well, and he's a bit of a music artist himself, right?
He is indeed. Jason is still involved in music as a DJ up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but Jason is a fine percussionist and saxophone player. And As you'll see, he also played piano on our Piano Man Jam at the NAMM Show.
Oh wow,
which
that's
was
fantastic.
exciting. So there, you watch for that video on our Facebook and YouTube pages as well.
Well, it just so happens we have Jason remoting in for the show. Let's bring him in. Jason,
Hi.
how are you, sir?
Good to be here.
You're coming from the drum studio over there, is that right?
Yes, coming from the North Drum Studio here.
Nice. How long have you been playing the drums, Jason?
Oh boy, I'm probably gonna say better part of 30 some years.
Wow. So we'll have to do a whole Jason on the drum segment soon.
I like it.
You know,
like it.
no pressure.
Yeah.
No pressure. Okay, that's so
1 hour drum solo.
That's right.
Yeah.
3.5 hour drum solo.
Yeah, I like it.
He'll be sweating. So we're going to talk about NAMM today. Thanks for joining us, Jason. Thanks for all the help out there too. Being the newbie at the show, what a huge help you were. And Jason was the one that stayed on top of all the social media for you too. And
he was
and
right
everything.
there.
I mean, he was on top of it.
Made sure we didn't miss any appointments.
Not
was
a beat.
Right there.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome. What were your thoughts on NAMM this year for 24, Jason?
I was trying to think how many times I've been there because I was actually asked on Monday, and I can't even remember. I know I started going in the mid '90s when I was in high school, but we keep saying somehow we're never going to top this show. But we don't know how we're ever going to do better than this, and we keep doing it.
Right.
And sometimes it's just it's just things that happen, and it's things you don't know about that just end up happening when you are just paying attention and kind of watching. And like Dad said, the people you're going to run into are not necessarily the people you know, but they're people you've been listening to your whole life.
Yeah.
And I think if you watch the Thomas Claxton interview that you put up, you're going to see that, there's three guys that you've heard your entire life.
Right.
But you could walk right by them and never know who they were.
Oh, and we're definitely going to be touching base on the Claxton interview. But first I want to kind of walk through the process a little bit. So we get this. So Kent and I, we're on the plane. We're talking about it. We get there. And we get our room at the Hilton, right?
Yeah.
And right away they're setting up a stage in the Hilton,
ready to go.
Right across the street, right across the way, is the Marriott, right? And they're setting up their stage too. And I'm like, wow, okay. I didn't realize that it was like a 24/7 rock concert of some kind happening at all these different locations in that area with a few steps from each other. All different creeds and colors and characters. It was wonderful. The diversity there was fantastic. Everybody was very nice. As Kent would say, where are all these skunks coming from? Because it smelled like skunk everywhere we went.
There, it did indeed.
Yeah, it says rock concert if I ever heard one.
Yeah, it's legal there. It's Florida.
And then we're not unfamiliar with music and artists, but we're not as well versed in that space as much as you and Jason are. Mm-hmm. And so as we're walking around looking at people, I'm like, he looks like he might be somebody. And because they either look like they're somebody or they just haven't got out of their parents' house yet or grown up yet.
Or they are somebody.
It's hard to tell sometimes. Right. But the people we ran into right off the bat, there was Fernando Jones.
Yeah.
He was one of the first I met when we got into the building at the Hilton, and awesome blues player, and has a band camp for kids.
Right in Chicago.
Yeah. Right in the old Chi area here. And, we had a long conversation with him. We didn't get a chance to get the interview this round with him, but we're looking at a collaboration maybe
Sure.
into the near future where he comes, sits at the piano and has a chat with us. And we'd like to see what we could do to help with the kids blues band camp,
Absolutely.
which would be great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We definitely want to stay in touch. It's funny. You travel thousands of miles and you meet people for the first time that are from your own backyard.
Oh yeah.
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 Which I think is just really cool. The music industry you think is a big worldwide and it's huge, and it is, but the industry itself is a small industry. People get to know each other very quickly in this industry.
Yeah. No,
And you become fast friends for many years. Over that time. So it's pretty cool. And the NAMM people are terrific. I can't say enough. That the people that we work with. As we do some of the classes and sessions that are out in NAMM land, as we so to speak. But they're all considered NAMMly. And they support the music industry tremendously. And without the NAMM Show, we wouldn't have this gathering place of the entire music industry from all over the world shows up to this show. So it's a good place to recharge your batteries for music retailers and just for musicians to explore their own music and get to know other musicians. It's really a wonderful gathering place for music.
Yeah. Well, and I noticed. So they do a breakfast in the mornings.
They do.
And I'm very grateful that you saved us a spot at a table.
We saved you a good spot.
Because when Kent and I got to the breakfast line, and when I say line, you would think that there would be a roller coaster or something at the end of it.
You
like
would think, right?
Disney.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it is across the street from Disneyland.
Well, it is.
So there is that. Maybe you got in the wrong line.
Right, well, I don't know. But it moved. It ended up moving, but I was like, we're never going to get breakfast, But when we got in there, these two were in there. They saved us a spot. And they're playing live music. They had keynote speakers. And they put out a hell of a spread, really.
They do. They do. And they do that every morning of the show. And there's always, before the regular show starts, there's always a keynote speaker or there's always entertainment on the stage while you're having your breakfast. It's really a wonderful thing. And we felt honored this year because for the second time, as Jason knows, Piano Trends Music was named one of the NAMM's top 100 dealers.
Yes, we saw that.
And that
congratulations.
Well, thank you. And, thank you to our staff. Bobby and I are proud of our staff because we couldn't do it without them. And to be recognized like that because they choose from dealers from all over the world, not just our country. So it's really an honor. And it was fun to be part of the top 100 dealer show this year. So
well, and you're kind of a big deal there. As we walked around there, people are, hey, how you doing? I was like, wow, he knows everybody.
Well, we've got a lot of good friends, don't we, Jason?
Yes.
Well,
yes.
So wait a minute. So you guys put it to me like this, and I'm going to out you a little bit. It's like, well, we come here because it's father and son bonding. You guys are just jamming and partying, man. I watched you guys. I mean, I was ready for bed at 8. You guys are like, hey, it's 11:30. What do you guys do? We're front row at this concert. Come on down. I look at Kenny, looked at me. We're like, okay, man, gear up. Let's do this.
Let's do this. Yeah.
But I mean, what a wonderful experience, and that's exactly what I'd like to call it. It's an experience.
It is an experience
to be there, and I can't wait to go next year. I really can't. It's definitely going to be a lot of fun. You can try to describe it like you described it to me all you want, but unless you're there, folks, you really don't know what you're getting until you're actually in it, right?
Yeah.
So we actually have a couple things we're gonna bring up here. So this is Steve Wingard, right?
Steve Weingart.
Weingart. I'm sorry, yeah. Steve. Look at me changing people's names.
That's why his hands are up in the air,
right?
Yeah.
So we were able to do an interview with Steve, and that was a lot of fun, and we found out a lot of things about him. You want to give him a little background on?
Yeah, we've known Steve for a few years now. He is a Casaccio artist, and he performs every year, sometimes with a trio and sometimes with a jazz band, 4-piece band, sometimes as a soloist. And to watch him and listen to him play, you just mesmerized. You just sit there and watch. And we've got video out there of him playing, in which we'll be sharing if it's not already out there. I think it is.
Yeah,
out there.
that should be on your Facebook for Lifting Spirits.
It is on our Lifting Spirits page. So take a look at that. But we found out something interesting we didn't know about Steve this year. As we were in the middle of this interview with him, we're talking about his music and his career. And it turns out that he had something quite in common with Jason.
Yeah.
Turns out they're now good racing buddies. They're both big racing fans. So we handed the mic over to Jason and let him finish up that interview, and they talked cars for 20 minutes.
Yeah. We did a round 2 with that. That's also in the video that I put out. So check that out. Also attached to his interview, if you look at the description, you'll be able to see him play on the old keyboard there of the footage that you guys took of him at the expo.
Yeah. You'll enjoy that. Be sure you catch that.
That was a lot of fun.
Go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry.
That was a lot of fun to do. I think as soon as he said something about racing, like, okay, tag me in.
Right. Yeah, Jason was like, tag him in.
That's right.
And then it was all about cars and racing. And I was like, are we at the convention?
Yeah, we're at the racing convention
We might
now.
need to go to a different convention now. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, and so, he was very gracious to take some photos with us and whatnot. This here is at the Hilton, just the same. This is us getting ready to watch Roseaway. Let's talk about Roseaway a little bit.
Roseaway is a very interesting newer band, at least to us. Roseaway has performed at the NAMM Show in years past, and we've watched them play in years past. But they're a duo from Paris, France. And we had reached out to them before the show and asked if we could sit down and chat with them, and interview and talk about their music. And they were very gracious and said, absolutely, let's just get something set up. So Jason and I stayed in touch with them. And we did. We sat down on the second day of the show there and with Kent and Drew, and they followed us. They actually had to wait for us because we were with Tom Claxton and Company.
That's right.
Which we'll talk about in a bit.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And we ended up sitting with them very casually informally in the back of the Marriott restaurant in Fuse. And we talked for a good 20 minutes, half hour in the back, learned about them and their band and their new music coming up. And then we went to watch their concert later that evening all together. It's like we're sitting here just waiting for Roseaway.
And we're going to touch more base on Roseaway because I have some photos in here of a little shot of the performance. And then just so everybody knows, the band is a drummer and a flautist.
Yes.
And when I first heard that, I was like, okay.
What are they going to play?
Wow.
Yeah.
And wow. That's all I got to say. Their music, we put that out there. You can catch that on Lifting Spirits Facebook, or you can go to our YouTube channel and watch that just the same. I think you'll be blown away.
Absolutely.
This here, so when we got in touch with Tim about going to NAMM, he's like, oh, and by the way, you guys, we're all going to go on stage. And we are going to present about podcasting and live streaming.
We did indeed.
And I was like, okay. And
fast-paced 28 minutes.
Yes. So we had a crunch, right, for that.
We did.
And it was funny because, we crunched for it. And, we get up on this stage. As we're getting up on the stage, I think we rehearsed it like twice,
maybe beforehand. Right.
Not much. And we all looked at each other and we were like, abort that plan. We're just going out there. We're going to do what we do. And we did. And I'll tell you what, it was a lot of fun. Plenty of people standing there, sitting there, people walking by. And we got a lot of kudos backstage when they all came to meet up with us. We had somebody from Les Brown there. We had somebody from a whole group of people that were like, listen, we've been watching a lot of these presentations because it wasn't so structured. They enjoyed it more,
and I think they did. And it's always a good sign when we're kind of backstage in kind of the green room, so to speak, of NAMM there. And we're there for a good 30, 40 minutes afterwards, still talking with people through the next session. So that's always it's a good sign that you were at least successful in being able to reach people and you had information that they were interested in. And
agreed.
It helped them.
Agreed. So that was a lot of fun. When that was over, I think some of the nerves kind of calmed down on us a little bit. We were ready for the next step, right?
The next step, yeah.
So this is Rose Away. And also gracious, let us take pictures. We got a picture of the interview sitting up there, along with the performance. And I'll tell you what, man, that girl can jam on that flute. I have never heard anything like that. I didn't even know a flute can do that.
Well, she was very classically trained for a long time growing up as a child. But when she got into this kind of music and then with Stefan, both Rach and Stefan, they're great musicians on their own right. And Stefan traveled with and toured with a lot of groups and a lot of people. But they're doing their own thing now, and they'll do everything from Irving Berlin's Blue Skies in a way that you've never heard.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just electric. It's kind of an alternative pop type of music. Yeah.
The best way I could put her voice is if anybody's aware of who Portishead is. She's got that feel, that vibe. It's like a jazz 50s new age style of music. And he on those drums, oh God, it was amazing. And sitting right up next to it, you could just hear it. And when the performance began, and folks, once again, go out there on our YouTube, you can see a lot of the performance stuff that I put out there. He's gearing up, right? He's standing up. They got a digital beat happening in the background, and he's just adjusting his hat, and he's getting ready. She's down, and she's just going with the beat and getting ready. You can see they were shaking off some nerves, I think. And then they just cranked it. It was amazing. It really was. I was very impressed. So Tommy Beard. Tommy is an interesting character. From Motown. Yeah. And he actually was at the table with Thomas Claxton in the group. And he didn't really, his back was towards us. So he didn't really have a chance to jump in the interviews. So we pulled him aside and said, hey, listen, meet us tomorrow. We'd like to do a one-on-one with you.
Well, he's a very unassuming and very modest man.
Very
in fact,
modest.
He gave up his seat for me to sit down and talk with Thomas.
Absolutely.
And,
very warmth coming, I should say. And he really described a lot of the goods and then the traumas, right, that he had to go through in order to gain his success. Like when he told me was at Donna Summers, he was
Diana Ross.
I'm sorry, Diana Ross.
Close.
I'm sorry.
Same decade.
Both good artists.
Both good
That's
artists.
all I know.
That's right.
He like followed her to her house.
Yeah, something you wouldn't do today.
You can't do that today. And but her brother worked at Motown, and that's how he got his in.
That's how he got his in.
And then as soon as he was in, he said, "Man, it was they stole from me, and everything else." And he ended up working through it. Obviously, that interview should be coming out by midweek next week.
That'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys,
very interesting interview.
Everybody should be able to see it then.
For the Diana Ross story, you want to listen.
I would have to say so. Jason, what was your take on that?
I actually got to talk to him a little bit while you were doing the Claxton interview, because I was kind of sitting next to him for a while. And yes, super nice guy. I'll point out that he's wearing an official Piano Trends lanyard.
That's right.
That's right.
So I was wearing it, and he liked it, and so I gave it to him. I had another one. But I think everything you said was right. He's a really unassuming, very nice guy. He's got stories of the good and the bad, the music industry, especially Motown era type stuff. And definitely worth a listen.
Yeah. No, I agree, and so I'll come forth because I mean, listen, we're not perfect here. We've made mistakes through our videoing and everything else. So during this interview, um, I got camera set up, microphone set up for these guys and everything, and Kent came up with my coffee and he got me a burrito, like a breakfast burrito, right from the Starbucks there, and and so I didn't know where to eat it, so I go bring it over to the windowsill. So you could actually watch me through the mirror eating this burrito. And he's like, "Hey, dude, you're in the shot." And I stopped and then I slowly pulled myself out of the way. And I was like, "Oh, boy, I can edit that out." But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be authentic about it.
Yeah,
And
you know what? And, as
that's
long
an
as we're
Easter
talking
egg.
about food at the NAMM show,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Jason is a food truck junkie. Would that be the word?
Connoisseur.
Connoisseur. That's a better word.
I like that's a better word.
That's more high class first,
Well, I'm your dad. I know what you were doing there. Yeah. But in fact, you can look on Jason's Facebook page and he'll have pictures of some of the food that was available at those NAMM food trucks for lunch. So that's part of the experience there.
Well, I got to have some food truck food, and I'll tell you what, I was really impressed. There was really good food there.
There was.
I think we took a walk to Roscoe's our first night. It was about a block and a half down from the hotel, and it was a chicken and waffle place. And I'll tell you what, man,
good stuff.
Was that good? Yeah. Coming from a big guy, I'm telling you, they looked at me and they're like, "Fire up the other
Fire
stove."
it up. Yep.
Right.
Double order.
Yeah. But then, when we got to try some of the food trucks, I think we went to the Asian truck first and got some stuff there. It was like a grilled chicken, teriyaki, grilled steak over rice or something.
Mhm.
Man, awesome. And a lot of food you get listen, folks, nothing's cheap anymore as it is, but at least you're getting good stuff. Yeah. So what was your favorite truck, Jason?
Oh boy. Yeah, I went to that Asian truck too, and I think my favorite was actually I got the poke bowl, which, and if anybody's unfamiliar with poke, it's raw marinated fish, but it's something I like, and you're in California, Southern California, you're in the food truck's natural habitat, so. Yeah. You're gonna take advantage of them, and yes, I on my Facebook I definitely took pictures of everything, and I had the poke bowl, and I did I did a taco trio later on, and all sorts of just really phenomenal stuff. And yeah, if you're not doing the food trucks there and you're just doing the convention food, you're missing out, because that was really good local cuisine.
I agree. And as we went from the food trucks and trying different cuisine, those skunks were around, so you constantly were hungry.
And I'll take it one step further, in that the food trucks are also kind of a good little microcosm of the music industry, in that they're all their own small businesses.
That's true.
That's very true.
That's true.
Small local business. I mean, local to that particular truck on that particular day. So it was good to support those guys as well.
Well, and I think you said it right too, because like the seafood, you're in California, and if a sushi truck, right? And if you're in Chicago, you're like, you don't buy sushi from a truck. But out there, you buy sushi from a truck, not a gas station. So it's one of those things, right? And so in between the music and the recordings, we were having a grand old time together, hitting those food trucks, and then going to the actual expo, right?
Exactly.
So bringing this back in. All right, let's talk about Thomas Claxton.
Claxton.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Thomas is a wonderful, wonderful person, and to put up with us, number one.
And he did.
And he did.
And he did.
And during our interview, we made a name mistake on that. When I say we, I mean you.
You mean me?
And that seemed to be the going joke around the table throughout the interview.
It certainly was. Well, and the funny thing is, I had talked to Thomas several times before we met, getting ready for this before the show. And we sit down at the table and said, I'd like to introduce Thomas Coyton. And he looks at me and says, it's Claxton.
Right.
And I said, are you sure?
So, can I change your name?
Yeah, can we change your name? Because I've already announced you as Thomas. But anyway, Thomas is the one up in the left-hand corner of the picture there. Mm-hmm. And he couldn't have been more kind and nice and genuine.
Well, so this is what I've gathered on Thomas Claxton. As a younger artist from everybody else at that table, and we'll get to them in a minute. He seems like a very free spirit. He was very welcoming. Mm-hmm. He also has his own podcast, so check him out on his own podcast, guys.
From Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah. And we were supposed to have an interview with him at the Hilton at a certain time, and that time was already hit, and he wasn't there. I'll let you finish it.
Well, I'm getting ready to give Thomas a call, and Thomas calls me, and he says, hey, why don't you guys, we're over at the Marriott. We're just in the back of the Marriott restaurant here. He says, I'm just having lunch with some friends. Why don't you come on over here, and we'll do the interview there. So let's pack everything up, guys. And so we headed across the way there, and we headed into the Marriott. And we go, and sure enough, he's sitting in the back of the restaurant with these other guys there, and we sit down, and we don't know who we're talking to yet.
Right.
So they introduce us, and it turns out, we're talking to Carmine Rojas and Eddie Martinez and Jonathan Mover. Yeah. And now those were maybe not household names, but when you look those gentlemen up, they worked with the likes of Michael Jackson and David Bowie and Joe Santorini and Steve Winwood, and the list goes on and on and on.
Run DMC, for crying out loud. Guitars for Run DMC. Now, his entire Seventh Realm All-Star Band was not at the table.
Correct.
And it would have been great to get them, too, because he had the guitars from Kid Rock, Scott Page from Pink Floyd. I mean, what a performance.
Oh, it was...
awesome.
Just music history on that stage.
They're legends to me. Yeah. Sitting at that table is a table of legends. And with listening to the stories and the names of the people they worked with and some of the stories of the people they worked with, I was ear to ear smile.
Yeah.
And we threw out some good questions to them.
And they were all very genuine, and it wasn't all necessarily feel-good stories either.
No,
they had some rough times going through.
Yeah, and it's good to hear that too. And every one of them is very genuine. It's like talking to your neighbor. No egos. It was a really nice. We sat down. They were eating lunch. They're like, man, let's just do this while we do lunch. And so we called it Around the Table. Right, the round table.
We did,
and what a great experience. So big thank you to Mr. Claxton. That's Claxton.
Claxton,
right? Yeah. Thomas Claxton.
Got an X in there, not a Y.
Who I have to say, number one vocalist is phenomenal at his craft.
Absolutely.
Number one. And thank you for the warm welcome and letting us interview everybody at your table during your lunch. We do appreciate that. Looking forward to seeing if maybe we can meet up again next year. That would be great.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. Jason, what was your take?
And again, I was kind of sitting next to Carmine and thinking, what am I doing here? Like this guy's legend. But again, it's those guys that you've never heard of, but you've listened to your whole life. If you're from my generation,
yeah.
But again, great stories. I love the story that they told. There's the two of them that grew up in New York. That where they first heard music was that everybody had their transistor radios out on the fire escapes,
Mm-hmm.
And so you'd walk down the street and get different genres just by walking down the street.
That's right.
And that was just such a vivid picture. And it rang so true. And I think that's probably one of the most favorite stories I've ever heard coming out of NAMM.
And I can agree with that. I also love the fact that one of my questions is what would advice would you give to the new generation of artists coming up? And they really took that to heart.
They did.
And each one of them definitely, because I know time was running out on this interview, and they had to go. And by the way, folks, they didn't rehearse for any other show. It was just all natural, and it was just on point. They took that microphone and they went around the table with, how to, make sure you're on the business end of it, and make sure, you go out and shake a hand. I love that. Go out and shake a hand. Not everything is done by the phone. Jonathan Mover spoke about, learn the craft, right? Not put everything into Pro Tools or some kind of digital to emphasize your craft. Learn the craft. Be the craft, right? And I love that, because when you watch them in the videos, you'll see that they are the real deal. There's no tuning, fine tuning.
There's no electronics making it sound better.
No, they're just jamming. And what a fun time between the interview and just watching them perform was awesome for me. It truly was.
They those guys were great. Absolutely great.
Hats off to you guys. If you see this, hats off to you guys. Moving on to the next slide. So, as we travel through the expo show, right? I call it an expo show because that's what it reminds me of, the Vendor Expo, that part of it. Yeah, the show floor. And so looking at some of these instruments, and if you see on the top there, that is a raw jazz band by the U.S. Air Force. And they were just cranking it out. And I'll be putting that video out. And the sounds that they were, and I guess when you do jazz, I'm not huge into jazz, but you could probably fill this in for me, is that it's just all about the sound. There's no practice, no music sheets, nothing really to go by. You're all just kind of jamming. Is that about right? Or?
Well, they're following a pattern, and they obviously can read music well. Those guys really know what they're doing. But there's a lot of improvising going on there. And those guys are very talented to be able to do that. That's a talent.
Yeah. Well, it is a talent. They sounded phenomenal. So I had to take that picture and get some video on them. So you folks will be seeing that out there soon. Musical instruments, like I have kids. One plays guitar, one plays flute. And when I was a kid, you would see these instruments. Everything was not even really silver. It was all brass. Okay. And, now as I'm walking these aisles, I'm seeing like red and green.
Every color of the rainbow.
Yeah, man. Is that like a giant clarinet on the bottom right there? I don't even know what that is, but it's like a murdered out instrument. It's like a flat black, real cool looking. And so give a little bit on, so this whole thing with NAMM are these the new instruments that are coming out in 2024?
For the most part, it is. I mean, the manufacturers are going to put out and show you what they've got, and they may have tweaked something. The models, they don't change that much from year to year, but there's always something new that a manufacturer is going to want dealers to see. And this is where you can see it and touchy feel it in person. And mess with it a little bit. So it's always good. As a Conn-Selmer dealer, we have a wide range of brands that they provide for us. And for our school band rentals, it's important for us to be able to be and touch base with our representatives there at the show. They get a feel and they know what we need rather than trying to sell us a product. Now they know okay, this is kind of their specialty. This is what they need. So this is what we need to look out for. So it's building that relationship,
Yeah.
a working relationship that you don't get just talking on the phone or just looking at pictures over the internet.
Well, what's kind of nice too is as you become a relationship build with these vendors, and you have a music store locally here in the Crystal Lake area of Illinois, school bands, right?
Mhm.
As they're getting their new instruments or whatever, to be able to tell them, be like, "Would you like them in your school colors?" I mean, that's kind of a
absolutely,
cool uniform thing, especially because I think when you get towards high school, you're into a marching band at that point. I don't know
That's
if they
right.
do a middle school version of that, but
Yeah, they do. That's where they're beginning to learn to do that. And a lot of times the middle schools will join the high schools for certain events. They'll play in the pep band at one of the basketball games, or they'll march at one of the, one of the parades, the local community
Yeah.
parades. Yeah.
yeah. So to have that uniformed with your uniforms in their school colors, that's pretty cool.
I think
know?
that's a cool
Yeah,
idea.
That's
I
definitely
do.
cool. So I'm going to let you talk about a lot of these. So upper left-hand corner, we have Prince's piano. Is that right?
It is. In fact, I'll let Jason chime in here because Jason and I were together to this. Well, that was one of the things that we wanted to earmark to see was they had the piano that Prince played, and I believe it was Jason knows the story, was the last piano that Prince actually played. And so we wanted to have a chance to go and see that and get our picture taken with it, and we did. So you can see it's a beautiful purple Yamaha grand piano.
Yeah.
But
That was a big display there too.
it was a
Yeah.
big display. Yeah. Wasn't that the story, Jason? Do I have that right?
Right. Yeah. As the story goes, Yamaha built it for him. It was, I believe, was supposed to go on tour with him. Never did. I think he only played it once or twice. But yeah, it had that and had one of his outfits there too. And that was it's real cool tribute to obviously one of the greatest artists probably ever. And just an amazing showpiece, and obviously very customized for him.
Yeah. Now, did you sneak over to the keys and rip out?
Nope. Yeah, couldn't get close enough to do that. We would have if we could have, but they were watching it pretty
You
closely.
didn't have Jason run distraction in the back corner somewhere, like, hey, over here, guys. No.
No, not there. No, they weren't messing around, were they?
And the funny thing was, I flew out through Minneapolis, and they actually have a Prince store there.
Really?
Where didn't have a piano, but that's where his studios were. But they had all sorts of Prince shirts and bags and merchandise and stuff, and I thought that was kind of cool, just showing even how big a deal he was locally there. Then to come and see a nice showpiece like this.
Yeah, and that was at the Minneapolis airport where you flew through.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when Prince first came out, he was ahead of his time. He definitely was.
Yeah.
People didn't understand his music when he first came out. And as generations went, music started changing. He was already there, and I tell you, Purple Rain, he was a unique individual to start with, right? And obviously he's no longer with us.
Right.
But to have him around today, he would still be probably right on top with everybody else.
He absolutely would.
I
no doubt about it. Yeah. No doubt.
The studio that he built in Minneapolis is the stuff of absolute legends. And you can go online and read about it, and there, any musician that's passed through there is just, you feel his influence, and just the rooms that are made out of different material just to get a different sound, and the studio is still there. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's almost at a museum, like a museum at this point, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's a kind of a tribute museum for him. So that was, it was really cool just to kind of be in the presence of that piano.
Yeah, that's cool. So in the bottom left and in the middle is a young lady who was on America's Got Talent. I'll let you describe. You guys were actually like 2 rows back on big stage watching that. I was able to take the side shot down there on the bottom left, leaning against the rail, having my body crushed to a pulp from the amount of crowd that was there. And then we got shooed away. Yeah, man,
Yeah.
it was. It really was.
That was well, obviously that's Lindsay Sterling, and Jason and I have run into her on the show floor in the past, and this is the first time that she's performed on the big stage at the NAMM Show. But what a performance! What a concert! I mean, to be able to dance, it's you're watching a ballet
Mm-hmm.
and playing the violin at the same
Mhm.
time, and it's you know,
Synchronized
it's a talent. Yeah,
dancing,
synchronized
right, yeah.
dancing. Yeah. And she's got a couple of musicians backing her up and 4 dancers, but she's doing the work, and it's simply amazing. And she said, you know, she said herself, and she says, "I'm talking to all of you musicians out there because I know this is a NAMM show." It says, "But if a girl who dances and plays the violin can make it, so can you. Don't give up on your thing."
I love that.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
she
that's awesome.
it was really cool. Nice person too. So that's always nice. So yeah, we enjoyed that concert for sure.
Yeah, that was good. That was what I can get from the side.
Yeah.
It was good.
was good.
So on the right there is you being pulled into the Big Daddy Voodoo room. Did I say that right?
Big voodoo daddy. Yeah.
Big bad voodoo daddy.
It's
Big bad
Claxton.
voodoo daddy. Yeah. It's your Claxton moment.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy had performed at NAMM a year ago, and they've performed at the Super Bowl. They've been one of the main acts at the Super Bowl in the past. They've been on the Tonight Show, and they tour worldwide. And they've played the Rouse Center half a dozen times.
Wow.
So we got to know the guys a little bit. This here is Josh Levy, who's their pianist and arranger, and I was able to connect their manager Brian with Dan DiForentino from NAMM Show, who does all of the NAMM oral history interviews. So he's preserving music history. And at this point, I believe he has 5,500 plus interviews of people from the music industry. And so we got 4 members of Big Bad Voodoo Daddy were able to come to the show for the interviews. And it had to be done. We had to interview four of them within an hour's time.
Wow.
So Dan talked to 2 of them and interviewed them in one room, and I was in the other room talking with the other 2 guys individually. So it was an honor, and it was fun to talk with the guys and learn about them a little bit about their history and what makes them tick and how their creative process works. And those interviews will be available through the NAMM website at sometime probably in the next few weeks to a month or so.
Yeah.
But that was a blast.
There's 2 goons right there acting a fool.
Absolutely.
Just listening to the music and having a great time. Jason, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll just chime in one real quick story. We were kind of sitting outside waiting to interview Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, and we were talking to the guy who's kind of just watching the door there, and because the previous interview was going on with Dan, and guy walks out that I've been interviewing with Dan, and it's Hunter Hayes. And so we got to say hi to him when, unfortunately, we weren't quite on it enough to grab pictures with him at the time because it was real quick. But that was one of those examples of you have to keep your head on a swivel at NAMM a little bit because you never know who you're gonna run into.
It's very true.
Oh, that was a little extra treat.
It was. There's always extra treats at the NAMM Show.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And so let's talk a little bit about Piano Man.
Piano Man Jam. We had it's something that started here at Piano Trends Music on Make Music Day last summer. And it's a day of celebration worldwide where people just make music all day. It happens on the summer and the winter solstice, so twice a year. So last summer, Casio helped sponsor us, and we would bring in as many people as at many Casio digital pianos as we could, and we would all just play Piano Man together. So we did that. We had a great time. We streamed it live, and fast forward to Christmas time, and we did it again at the winter solstice in the store. It was even bigger and better the second time around. And you were with us there
Yep.
in our holiday mashup.
The holiday mashup.
Yeah. So it was just a good thing. And a Piano Man, everybody knows it. Musicians know it. So NAMM had contacted us about doing it nationally at the trade show. So we worked with them for a couple of months ahead of time in doing so. And we get to the trade show, and Jason rehearsed. Jason took piano lessons from grandma way back when, and mom made sure you were ready for this. And Jason practiced hard and got his piano skills back up to snuff. And so he was all ready to go. And we get to the Piano Man Jam at the NAMM Show, and we were honored to help organize it and keep it and run the show with Eric Abel and Aaron Friedman of Make Music Alliance. And what was really cool is we were in this giant piano room. There's half a dozen manufacturers there, and we've got people sitting at dozens of pianos, all ready to go. And Jason found a nice Baldwin in the corner there, and shows up on the video. Jason's there, and Piano Man starts. And we've got people from all over the world playing Piano Man together
At the same time.
And it was just a great moment at the NAMM Show. And that video is also on our Facebook page and YouTube. And you got to watch it. It's just fun.
There was even a little youngster in there.
There was.
Yeah.
There was. He was probably about 10 years old, was playing on one piano. And we're walking around the pianos. And then there's another young man sitting there, and he's got the Billy Joel harmonica there ready to go and wailing away on it.
How fun.
So it was a blast, and it sounds like NAMM wants to do it again next year, rinse and repeat. So that'd be fun, and we'll be doing it here again at Piano Trends Music this summer on June 21st.
Oh,
so
fantastic!
If you want to play Piano Man with us, get in touch. We'll do it. Yeah.
Absolutely, and we'll go live on that.
You betcha.
That'll be great. So I think we covered a lot. I mean, listen, there's a lot more to cover, but
there is.
We can only squeeze in. We're already, 50 minutes in, and short attention spans. So we appreciate you guys having us come out and help with filming it and doing some data with it. I can't wait to do it again, to be honest with you. Now we have an idea. Now we have an idea. So now our brains are already turning on, bettering the solution.
Yeah.
So
it's fantastic. Yeah.
And Jason, thanks again, man, for all the help. And it was, that was the first time I think I met Jason. We were going to have a meeting on our patio. We had a patio.
Yeah, you guys had a patio in your room.
Like we were some kind of big deal there.
That.
I don't know how I managed that, to be honest with you. I didn't have to pay anybody extra or anything. And then I see you and this young, strapping young lad, Jason, mini you. And I'll tell you what, you guys are awesome together because you know the industry so well. He has a great mentor, obviously. And, thanks for having us go out there. That was fantastic. Like I said, we can't wait to do it.
And again, thanks to Deke for being out there with us, too. I'm sorry he couldn't be here tonight.
Yeah, you've been missed, Deke.
Yeah.
But, there's plenty of Deke out there on the old YouTube and the Google box. So,
there definitely is, yeah.
And that's fine. But we had a lot of fun. And, folks, too, if you want – this segment of Lifting Spirits is going to be continuous here moving forward. So if you're local to the area or want to remote in, what's a good email to say, hey, I want to be on the show?
You know what? You could send it to me personally. Just send it to my first name, Tim, at pianotrends.com. .com and just tell me what you're interested in. We'll get in touch and we'll put something together.
Absolutely. You want to come in? We could talk about what's your story, why you got involved, and then you can play something.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Jason, thanks for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and put you back into the old green room there. We'll be chatting with you here in a little bit.
Bye, son.
Bye.
Wow, great times. Great times. A lot of information to get out there.
It is. And we just scratched the surface of the things.
We really did. We really did. Next year, there will be a lot more information that we can push out. And like I said, I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting to go there. So I don't know why people go to concerts when you could just go to NAMM. I don't understand.
It's all right.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's all there, man. It's everything you want. And these artists that might be not such a big name, they're hungry. So they're giving it their all, and you can really see it, as a challenge, their journey through life and their music,
It's very true. And you're going to see some groups and young musicians who are appearing at NAMM, and all of a sudden, a few years later, overnight sensation, 10 years later, they've made it to the big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just fun, and it's music. So smile, be kind, and keep on keeping on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, from us here at 216 Creator Studios and
Piano Trends Music in Crystal Lake, Illinois, and lifting spirits through music. This is Lifting Spirits Around the Piano.
Have a great night, everybody.